Hello everyone, it's Master and welcome to this brand new The Sims 4 Speed build. So today I'm building the Capri Villa, which is a really cool house inspired by my most recent trip to Naples in Italy and the area around that, which includes the island of Capri, which I'll talk about a little bit more later on in this video. But yeah, that was more than a month ago, as you can probably imagine, because if you followed the news, and I'm sure you haven't been living under a stone, it's been crazy in the world, and I know that very many of you will be sitting inside for very many weeks, just like I personally am doing so. And therefore I thought, okay, now I've definitely got to make a video just to enjoy all of you who are sitting inside, and also because I've now got a lot more time than I normally have, because studies only online, but all the other things which normally go on in life have basically been cancelled. Any events, parties, etc. It's all just gone because of the coronavirus, which I'm sure many of you know about. I'll not go too much into it, I guess, but it's hard not to talk about it. I recently saw, you've got very many memes about it, and I saw someone saying like, what did we actually talk about before coronavirus? And I was literally wondering, indeed, every conversation right now is going about this. Yeah, like I mentioned, this was inspired by one of my recent trips to Italy just before all the disaster struck, because seriously, we should take this serious. If we see what's happening in Italy right now, we should really prevent this from happening anywhere else in the world. Which means that measures need to be taken. That's happening in the Netherlands right now, and I'm seeing that that's happening all around the world, which is good. But please, seriously, stay inside as much as you can, because that's the only way to get rid of this all, and to make sure that not the entire summer is being wasted sitting inside, which I'm sure no one of you wants to happen. But like I mentioned, I went to Naples, and which was a super interesting study trip actually. We went there because Naples has a very interesting history in architecture, because it all started with the Greeks and the Romans there, and we've actually sort of traveled through time, visiting very many buildings, but also looking at urban structures and layouts. And at the final day of the trip, we went to Capri, a very cool island in the Bay of Naples, which you might know about. The boat ride there was beautiful, because on the one hand you see the bay with the Vesuvio volcano, which very many of you probably know about, which is still kind of active. And then on the other side you could see the island of Capri, which in the summer is full of tourists, especially very rich tourists, because it's a very expensive island, because it's so popular, and it's basically just so beautiful. So all the famous stars and influencers always go there, which is probably why you've ever seen pictures of that island. But we went in February, so it was actually very, very quiet, which was really cool, because that made the island just a lot more enjoyable and cozy, because we could all imagine how busy it would be in the summer, but now we were actually able to just really relaxed walk around the island, look at some very beautiful vistas and beautiful villas as well. And that's the moment I realized that I should actually make a house inspired by Capri. This is not really an around the world building video, because if you've followed my channel for a long time, you know that that's sort of my specialty. I've done a series which was pretty successful about around the world builds, where I would be building houses from all around the world. Maybe I should actually continue that series, or just continue that series again, or start it up. The problem I had with the series was that I basically covered most typical countries. So I've literally done like more than 20 countries from all around the world, every continent, and therefore like the most typical houses have been built already. For instance, I've done an Italian house or Italian villa, and even an Italian restaurant, but this is obviously something different, but it's not really an around the world building series video, so I think I'm not really doing it. This was just inspired by my trip there, and therefore I thought, I'm going to make something which sort of makes us think of summer, because slowly we're moving on to summer, and I really hope that we can still all enjoy it despite all the corona problems. There, we're talking about it again, because that's something I'm seriously wondering about. Besides people's health, personally I'm healthy, so I know that I'm not really a vulnerable target group, but I also know that you just stay inside to make sure that even if I have it without knowing, I can't infect others. But yeah, Capri is beautiful. This house is inspired by it, and it's actually also inspired by a place I once stayed in, Cape Town, which is, by the way, maybe even one of my favorite countries or cities in the whole world, because you can do some beautiful hikes there up on Lion's Head and Table Mountain, and like the area of Clifton is beautiful, with Camps Bay. So basically it's just a very, very beautiful city, and that was one of my sources of inspiration as well. And I've added very many colorful flowers and trees and stuff all around the build just to make it sort of more lively. It's a very minimalistic, actually. It's not really something I'm normally building. Yeah, it's almost like a kind of a dollhouse, which I can imagine is not something for everyone, but it did feel like it would be a cool house to for you all to download to play with your Sims. So that's sort of what I imagined it to be like. So you can download it from the gallery. My gallery ID is Dutch Sims Master, and yeah, from there you can download all my creations, and in that way, yeah, just import them, and you don't have to build your own house. Because I'm getting very many questions from people now that yeah, Corona struck. There's literally a large increase in people buying The Sims and people wanting to play The Sims, and even my views have actually gone up because of Corona. Even though I did not upload a lot recently, I did see last week, especially when most of Europe and the US went into quarantine, or into isolation is what you call it. Is it? Yeah, I'm not too sure what you call it in English. I know isolation is the right word, but there's something different as well. Yeah, what I wanted to say is that I saw an increase in views, which was funny. And by that time, I was already working on this house, because I've worked on this house through several weekends, because normally I'm only at home during the weekends, and that's the moment that I've got time to make these videos. Now that we've got this entire Corona thing, I'm sure that I'll be able to make more videos, which I'm happy with. So yeah, you'll definitely see slightly more of what I'm doing, and yeah, some building videos by me. So if you've got suggestions, please let me know in the comments. I would love to read that, and also let me know how you're spending your isolation time at home, because I'm very curious to hear what everyone's doing. Personally, for myself, I've really literally made a list the moment I heard, okay, all like the restaurants and pubs are closing down and all events are closed and you should stay at home as much as possible. I made a list with all the things which I still wanted to learn. For instance, like, you know, I'm an architecture student, so I've got very many of those 3D modeling programs which you need to know. And I've got a lot of things which I want to learn in that side. I want to learn Revit, which is one of the programs. I want to increase or improve my proficiency in Rhino as well, and Grasshopper. Even though that's a program I use quite a lot already. And also my plan was to create my portfolio, because next year, after I've finished my bachelor's degree, I'm planning on doing an internship somewhere at an architecture firm. And in order to be accepted, or in order to be chosen for the internship, you need to obviously show what you can do. So I need to make a portfolio. So that's something which is on my list, but also random things like, you know, doing or practicing some cooking, or doing, I've together with friends actually started up a Minecraft server again, which is something we literally did like 10 years ago. And now everyone's sitting at home again, and we're like, okay, let's just do that. And everyone's making puzzles, and it's really funny to actually, with social media, stay in touch, and in that way also keep up with what everyone's doing, because normally you see so many people, and now with this entire isolation thing going on, there's just almost just a lot less people to see, which is sad. But maybe I should talk a little bit more about this house, because in the end that's probably what you're watching this video for. This is a 3-bedroom house, 2-bathroom house. 1 bathroom is really with like a shower and stuff. 1 is literally only just the toilet or the restroom downstairs, which I almost forgot, but I'm adding it all at the end of the video. And we've got this very cool atrium in the middle, which makes this house very airy. With regards to style, it was sort of hard, especially for the interior, to define what kind of style I was going for with this house, because on the one hand it's modern and sort of hip, and you know what you yeah, what you see in all the restaurants and all the hip places. That's on the one hand what style I'm going for. On the other hand, it's also sort of more beach-like because obviously we are near the ocean at this place. So I felt like that was sort of yeah, fitting. So yeah, it's sort of a combination of that. I tried some new objects, for instance, that window, which basically does even not have glass in it, I believe, which is sort of that Arabic style, which I really like, which I've incorporated a lot in this house. Which I'm not too sure if it's fun, you know, because I'm not too sure if there's a window in it. It might not be the most realistic thing. On the other hand, your Sims definitely don't care. And if you don't care yourself either, we've not got a problem. But yeah, those are sort of the main aspects of the game. And also, I'm using very many of the objects from the Tropical Island expansion pack, which was Island Living. Because there's so many plants and shrubs and colorful flowers coming with that pack that I thus far had not even really used them that much, because there's just so many coming with that expansion pack, which might actually even be my most favorite pack thus far, even though I must say that this world, which is Windenburg, which if I remember correctly came with Get Together. Yeah, I'm actually almost 100% sure that this one came with the expansion pack Get Together. Yeah, it's actually really cool as well, and I'm actually using this world a lot because it's so diverse. So you can build here on an island, which was, especially before we had Island Living, very useful, but you can also sort of build in the countryside. You've also got a city, so therefore it's very diverse and you can build in very many places, which is fun if you're a builder, obviously. By the way, talking about The Sims, you should know that I believe at this moment there is a sale going on at Origin or in Origin where you can buy all the Sims games with like a very, very big discount price. So that's the thing you should probably know about, because if you miss some of the expansion packs, or maybe you don't even have the Sims and you want to get started, I believe today I saw someone making a picture of buying the Sims and it was like only 12 euros. So that's, I believe, like only quarter of the price of which it normally is. Like the official price, even though the official reselling price is literally what no one ever pays. But yeah, if you want to buy the game, this is probably the time to do it. Also because you've probably got a lot of time to yeah, play The Sims actually right now. Because yeah, I mean, come on, we've all played this when we were young, and for me personally, I've continued playing it ever since. But for many people, I know that this game also really truly resembles like child nostalgia. Like a nostalgic feeling, because everyone used to play this when they were young. And I think the more people that play it, the better, because I'm very curious actually when a new expansion pack or stuff pack or anything like that is coming. I know there is a community-based stuff pack coming where yeah, all of us in the community could actually choose what items and what clothing and etc., what style even would be in a new stuff pack. Personally, I've sort of missed this also because I've been very busy and not too active recently, unfortunately. But yeah, besides that, I'm curious when a new expansion pack will be released, because normally that is sort of announced at EA Play, because, you know, recently there has been the, yeah, it's basically just been 2 expansion packs a year, and then I believe 1 game pack a year, and then some stuff packs. However, I saw that E3 is not happening this year because of Corona. There we are again talking about it. But that probably means that EA Play is not happening either, because they're sort of the same event. Well, they're not the same event, but they're happening in the same week and they're attracting the same audience. So it's sort of kind of the same event. So if it's not happening at E3, then probably EA Play is not happening either. But then I'm curious when they will announce it and when it will be released. But obviously we've only recently got on university, which is really cool as well, which I might actually should do a little bit more with. Maybe I should do another dorm build. Yeah, just please give me some suggestions of what I should build, because I'm very curious to hear what you would like to see, because I must say I'm actually full of inspiration again, and I must say that's also the reason that recently I didn't make very many videos. Besides not having a lot of time, I also did not really have a lot of inspiration. Probably that was partly also because I did not have that much time, because when you don't have much time, creativity just doesn't really continue flowing. If you, yeah, as you can probably imagine, because, you know, you need some creativity in order to create these builds, which made it harder. But now when I started with this build again, I was super excited. I knew exactly what I wanted, or at least I had many ideas, so I could try many things. And even with the interior, I must say that I sort of went all out and actually created kind of a nice interior, if I can say that myself. Normally interiors aren't really my thing, but I feel like this one is actually kind of good. And at least it's not rushed, you know. I did do the effort to really try something new here and there. And I must say that there were very many items which because I haven't played the game too much recently, discovered that existed only now. Because, for instance, these two coffee tables, which are probably really inspired by anything by IKEA, are actually really cool. And yeah, I really like those, and I'd never seen them before. I think they're from their Tiny Living stuff pack, which wouldn't be too weird because, yeah, that's literally the last stuff pack that has been out, and I've made one video about it, which I kind of liked. I actually now realize that I did use the same window in that build as I've used in this one, so that's not too creative. I should be more creative with windows maybe, because there's actually quite many of them. For instance, these Arabic inspired windows, or they're what I call Arabic inspired windows, which you're actually literally seeing right now, which don't have the glass in them. But maybe I should just look around one day again and just make a build just based on what windows I want to use, because that's kind of a cool thing. By the way, there's also very many challenges. I got questions from friends as well who knew that I'm all into Sims, and they wanted to know more about like what can I do, and is Sims multiplayer. I unfortunately had to answer that multiplayer is not an option in The Sims, which would be really cool, and I sort of hopefully wish that they were working on it so that they could actually release it right now, because this is obviously the perfect timing if they would want to release it. But even if that would actually be the biggest coincidence ever if they were working on it and they would be able to release it any day now. But yeah, I did suggest to them some challenges which they can do, which is, for instance, one of those tiny house challenges where you have to build between like 4x4 squares, or you can even use that new stuff pack, which makes it slightly easier actually to make a tiny house, because it actually counts the tiles for you, which also makes it harder because it's not only the floor size which matters then, but also literally every tile you use. But also because that comes with very many objects which are very fitting for tiny houses, because you've, for instance, got foldable beds and like everything put into one item almost, which is pretty cool. And there's actually, I'm looking around at the build right now, and also, for instance, that the lamp is coming from the Tiny Living stuff pack as well, and that's a cool one which I want to use a lot. So basically, I must say that right now we're at a point in The Sims where you literally have so many items to choose from that you can really build anything you want, which is so cool, because if you compare it to the beginning of The Sims 4, where we had so many less items, obviously because there were just way less stuff packs, or no stuff packs at all, or game packs or expansion packs, etc. That just really makes a big difference, and it makes it so much easier to build like crazy things now than it used to be in the beginning. Here I'm kind of trying to be creative with the floor, which sort of worked out cool, especially because of those diagonal lines at the wooden floor, which sort of creates a cool combination. It sort of felt unrealistic to just have that wooden floor under the kitchen, so I wanted to use something slightly more industrial, which sort of fits that beach vibe as well. I guess here I imagined there to be a gym, but then I felt like that would be sort of weird and it wouldn't be sort of a fitting house to create a gym. So later on, I'm changing this into something else, which you'll notice later on. I'm actually maybe giving some clue already right now in the beginning. But later on, I also realized that I wanted to, or still had to add a toilet at the base floor, or the first floor as well. So I realized maybe it wasn't the best idea to use that glass, those glass sliding doors here anyways. Yeah, this is the clue already, which you're getting with the ping pong table. But now I'm moving just upstairs. I sort of like that atrium. Personally, I really think that makes for like a grand entrance when you're entering the build, especially because you've also got those two level glass face, which makes it very light, obviously. So yeah, here I'm still in doubt, what should I do with that room? Maybe I should add a bar, but later on you'll see that I'm actually removing the bar because it felt like it would be too much, sort of. This is not the most extravagant or crazy house or most luxurious. It's obviously very nice and really cool, but it's not the most luxurious house. It's sort of more realistic. People who are well off but not crazy all out. And then I felt like a place with a ping pong table and a bar with glass all around it would be a little bit too much, so I decided to scale it down slightly to just a ping pong table. Here I'm building the master bedroom with a beautiful ocean view, which makes me think of summer, and then it makes me think of Corona again, because truly I'm not too sure what this summer will be all about. I truly hope that all this trouble will be over soon, because that would also take away so much of the mess in everyone's mind or head, like what's going on, and it makes everyone so restless. That's just what I noticed. And also it would be good because not every conversation would be going about it, about Corona anymore. But for now, it's cool to hear. This is just the main thing going on in everyone's life, so it's obvious that everyone talks about it. And I must say that this also made me realize this epidemic or pandemic, I believe we have to call it right now, how quick developments could go also during wars, for instance, because that's what I used to learn in history, that during wars, for instance, planes would develop very quickly because they obviously needed planes in order to fight in the war. And that's the reason that development went so quickly. And now I can imagine that if you're in a crisis like we currently are as well, not necessarily comparing this to war, just to be sure about that. But I can imagine that during a crisis like this, for instance, video calling is truly being innovated and being developed very, very quickly. And literally, I think we will be getting out of this crisis in a totally different way. Maybe education will entirely be changed, because I'm not following education like face-to-face anymore, but online. But still, I'll be able to follow all my subjects simply because we are doing it all online, and that's literally the only way we can do it. So maybe MOOCs, like massive online open courses, I believe you call them, are getting only bigger, because that's a way to share knowledge all around the world by just making one video, which my university is actually doing quite a lot with, or at least they say. I've never followed them because I follow enough courses already. But that's the same way I think about all that video calling. And I personally use Zoom, which I find way more convenient than Skype. If anyone's got another suggestion, please let me know. But I've done very many calls last week with more than 10 people, and Zoom was really very convenient to use, and very quick, and very direct, without any disturbance or lag in the talking, which is normally truly what totally annoys me about Skype, because whenever it lags and you have to say, okay, what did you say? I couldn't understand you. All the time, that's just the most annoying thing ever, and it just makes it way less fun also to communicate online. But let me know, what do you think of this entire Corona crisis? What do you think it will bring us? What will be left after all of this is done? And like I mentioned in the beginning of the video also, please let me know how you're spending your days, because if you've got cool things you're doing, or maybe good ideas of what you can do or what you can learn, I'm totally open for that. I'm curious to learn. But like I mentioned, I'm planning on learning many things, because, staying positive is basically the best thing to do. And it's hard to stay positive all the time. And every now and then I'm thinking about all the events and parties being cancelled, and then it makes me quite sad as well. But then I'm trying to stay positive because there's not too much we can do about it. And therefore you've simply got to make the most of it, and make sure you stay healthy, make sure that others will stay healthy, and then make sure that you sort of learn a lot, or at least have an enjoyable time. So maybe if you have an enjoyable time, if you're binge watching an entire series a day, perfectly do that. But make sure that when you look back on this period, make sure that you're like, it was actually not too bad, or I was able to do some cool things, or I've learned something. Because I can imagine maybe you can turn into a really, really good Sims builder in this time. I mean, you've got time enough to practice. You've got enough time to watch very many videos of all these people online. And in that way, maybe you can turn into a really good Sims builder yourself, or maybe you can turn into a YouTuber, even though that is something, you know, that will take more time in the long run. So it's not really, you cannot learn to be a YouTuber. That's just something which happens along the way, and you will need more time than just this crisis just to become a YouTuber. That's just my quick advice. But if you've got a cool idea, just get started. I mean, why not? So I'm curious to hear about all your thoughts about this. Let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe, actually, if you haven't yet, because yeah, that would be cool. And yeah, that would also motivate me to make even more videos, because yeah, recently the YouTube algorithm is just sort of, yeah, stupid, where if you don't make very many videos, you're just not being suggested a lot, because YouTube just wants to make their own money. So therefore, they're only suggesting videos from people who make very many videos every week. So by favor of them, or in favor, they want to have people who make daily videos, because in that way, if you get onto the train of watching that YouTuber, they know that they'll just make a lot more money, which is the stupid way the algorithm works. But for someone who not makes or who doesn't make daily videos, that sort of sucks. But there's not too much to do about it. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you let me know, because that's very enjoyable, and it gives me a lot of motivation to continue. Here I'm working on the last bedroom. Yeah, I must say this is the moment where the inspiration, or the inspiration was sort of gone. I sort of tried to do it in the style of the other bedrooms, but for this one, I'm not the biggest fan of this one, I guess, but it's still kind of okay. You can renovate it yourself if you download the house, obviously, which you can do with the entire house. I mean, you can paint it pink and, you know, make it Barbie's house if you want to, which would actually be sort of realistic for a house like this one. I mean, I've sort of made it beach-like and realistic with the textures and the colors, but if you turn this into a pink house, the shape definitely is open for such a change, I guess. So I'm curious to see what you can do with it. If you're doing it, please let me know. Send me a message on like Instagram or Twitter, which by the way is both at DutchSimsMaster, just like my gallery ID. And then if you're working on something like that, let me know, because it's always cool to see what people do with your own creations. So if you want to share that in these Corona times, don't forget to do that. And yeah, right here I'm just adding some more exterior furniture just to make it a little bit more lively. And then at the end, I'll actually quickly just add that bath, or yeah, that restroom, because that's the one I forgot and talked about a lot. At the end of the video, there will also be an overview like you're used to from me, where I'm just showcasing the entire house. And then, yeah, that's basically it. Here I'm quickly getting into the house again to make sure that a restroom would still fit in this place. And that was also the moment that I realized, okay, that bar should be removed from that place. I still wanted to have those glass doors, because I sort of, you know, that's actually more inviting and sort of cool to make that sort of the party area of the house maybe. And then having two open doors and maybe glass doors, yeah, would just be more inviting and sort of cool. Or at least that's the way I imagined it. So we've got a restroom now, because I knew people would be super hating about the fact that it wouldn't be in the house. Just like people can continue talking about the fact that I didn't add a sink in one house or another. So I just added these chairs, nice music player, and then that's the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure you're staying inside, enjoy your isolation, and then I hope to see you back in another video very soon.